Sorry about that. I hate it when my recording app glitch and cut me off like that. Uh, this is probably the only first ever Toy Thursday that we go the entire first segment without actually seeing the action figure of the day. That's just crazy. But the whole thing around Resident Evil is so long and involved. That's just the way it goes. So anyway, uh, backtracking a little bit, we have our scientist shot to death in his laboratory by the goons sent over by the Umbrella Corporation, and they made off with his G virus. Unfortunately, they didn't see that he had a vial of the G virus in his hand, and while he lay there dying, he injected himself with a G virus. And the G virus then transformed the hell out of him, like evolved the hell out of him, and he mutated into this giant monster. And obviously, he's very, very pissed off right now. And he went after the mercenaries. That is where our story stopped and began. Now, this is not exactly accurate to what happened in the game, but close enough. In the game, even in his first transformation, in his G1 form, William Birkin, aka the G Virus, was able to destroy every one of the mercenaries that murdered him. All but one. One of them did get away. But they even their automatic weapons or their guns or their military training, none of that saves them. That was just in his G1 form. This one you're looking at on the screen right now, this is his G3 form. So it's his third transformation. Look how big he is. And this is a toy made in 1998. And even comparing to toys of these G.I. Joe military guys made just recently, I believe these guys came out last year or the year before. These are 6-inch figures. They're a little bit taller than 6 inch, and they're heavily armed. Got like military grade stuff on them. But when you look at this, with how the two of them stand in front of the G3 transformation William Birkin, there is no comparison. G3 just dwarfs them. Like this guy is so massive, even against action figures of today's variety. Now, this guy was made in 1998 by ToyBiz, who mostly made 5-inch action figures at the time. So this was definitely a giant at the time. Still a giant today. This guy stands just over 8 inches tall, and it's quite large, quite thick, and there's a lot of horrifying details on this guy with the forearms and uh, these little eyeballs that appear randomly along its limbs and body, and its almost demonic skull-looking face. And perhaps the coolest feature of this figure is you can transform William from his G3 form to his G4. And it's very simple. You just take the head off and put on this different head, and then you move the uh, larger pair of arm to the side, and he's take on this kind of a four-legged stance, and he looked more animalistic in this form. Now, it is obviously not like totally accurate to the game, but a very good attempt. Again, let me say that this is a figure made in 1998, and it's actually pretty cool. Pretty cool. And this new transformation is where I how I display him most of the time because I like this transformation better. I like the look of this more animalistic looking form better. Just look at that big mouth full of jagged teeth. These teeth used to be his rib cage, and so when he transformed, his ribs open up and form these giant mouth. And of course, he still have all those weird looking eyeballs coming out of him. Uh, Most of this figure is like this brown, different shades of brown, dark color, and those eyes, those eyeballs are like disgusting looking orange, orange and red. And then, of course, there's a lot of veins and different weird looking muscle groups on this crazy looking monster. Now, obviously, in this G4 transformation, because he's on all fours, he's not as big looking, he's not as tall as in his G3 transformation, but he will take up a lot more shelf space. And let me just quickly mention this: the one downside of this action figure is that he is very floppy. Like there's a lot of loose joints on this guy, so it can be a bit challenging to get him to stand. So just keep that in mind, especially in his G3 form. This is another reason why I prefer his G4 transformation, because in his G3 form, his upper body is so heavy, and he just doesn't stand very good on those floppy, skinny legs. Even though he is a very old figure and definitely not what I would call super well made, this has been my holy grail, or one of my holy grails, for a very long time, and it took me a while to track him down on eBay, and I was able to get a relatively good price for him. I got this guy for about 40 bucks, I think, which is way more than what he sold for back in 1998. But that's just the way it is. Hopefully, one day that some modern toy company will once again pick up the Resident Evil license and bring us some more modern, more better made Resident Evil action figures. Thank you for being here with me today for this Toy Thursday, and I'll be back again tomorrow for some Fitness Friday.